When the ion drive fires, you'll be taking about
In 2047, a distress signal is received from the Event Horizon, a deep space research vessel that mysteriously disappeared 7 years ago beyond the 8th planet, Neptune. Dr. William Weir, the Event Horizon designer, wakes up from a nightmare and looks at the pictures of his late wife, Claire. Weir has been living on the Daylight Station that is located near the Earth's lower orbit, and he gets a call to the Lewis and Clark, a search and rescue vessel that is sent on a top-secret mission to investigate this unusual event. The crew were on a well-deserved break when the order came and got frustrated when they heard they were about to embark on another journey, but Captain Miller told them it was the nature of the job, and they prepared the ship for the journey. Weir doesn't receive the warmest of welcome, but the crew prepares him to be in a stasis pod. They give him a shot to slow down his heart rate, and he enters his pod.
You'll be taking about 30 Gs.
56 days into the journey, they reach Neptune, and Weir, who was wearing his breather inside his pod, has another nightmare where he wakes up alone and sees eyeless Claire calling for him. Weir wakes up from the nightmare screaming and gets dropped out of his pod. The crew helps him up and tells him what he is feeling is welcome since he has been in stasis for a long time. Miller calls everyone including Weir for a meeting and introduces the crew, his second-in-command, Lieutenant Stark, Pilot Smith, Medical Technician Peters, Engineer Ensign Justin, the crew doctor DJ, and the rescue technician Cooper. Then Weir begins to explain the top-secret mission. When he mentions the transmission source to be the Event Horizon, most of the crew couldn't believe what they were hearing and were about to leave, but Miller orders everyone to sit down and listen to Weir, who continued his speech. The public knew that the Event Horizon blew up after her reactor failed, but the truth about the Event Horizon was that it was part of a secret government project which aimed to create a faster-than-light flight by creating a dimensional gateway, allowing it to jump instantaneously. Weir tells them about the mysterious disappearance and states the purpose of the mission is to find where the ship has been for the last 7 years. He plays the recording of the transmission, which was identified to be Latin, and DJ translates it as "Save me." Suddenly, Lewis and Clark sound an alarm, and they approach the Event Horizon. They experience some serious turbulence. They try to communicate with the vessel, but nobody answered. After a scary bump, they come face to face with the Event Horizon, and Weir gets excited. Smith slowly locks their vessel with the Event Horizon, and Stark reports on the status of the newly discovered ship. She scans the ship for life forms and finds them, but her computer can't give her their locations. So, Miller tells the crew they will do a manual search going through each room. He orders Weir to stay on board until they confirm the ship's safety, and asks him to help them navigate the ship from the communication station. Although Weir argued he should be going, Miller's decision was final, and he took Justin and Peters with him. Upon landing on the Event Horizon in their spacesuits, they find different materials of the ship floating. After hearing about the ship's sections from Weir, Justin goes to engineering, while Miller and Peters go to the forward decks. Miller and Peters come across some explosives in the hallway, but Weir describes their use, saying that they are used in case of emergency, destroying the central corridor and splitting the ship in half. At the same time, Justin reaches a door leading to the engineering decks, and he passes through a spiral rotating steel. Peters, on the other hand, finds blood when she enters the bridge, but she doesn't see the disgusting flesh and bones on the side of the wall. She goes to the monitor that shows the ship's logs and retrieves the CD after a little struggle. But she freaks out when she turns around and sees a decomposed body with scratches all over it, and its eyes were taken out. Justin scans for life forms using his own device and gets strange readings. After turning the light on, he sees the gravity drive, which Weir describes as the heart of the ship, suddenly gets activated, cutting off his communication with the Clark, and changes into a hollow-like portal filled with a strange liquid. Justin inserts his hand into the liquid, but he rapidly gets sucked into it, and his cable gets torn apart. Cooper goes after him and rescues him, but the gravity drive releases a shock wave throughout the ship that knocks Miller and causes serious damage to the Clark and Lewis. so the crew is forced to leave it and board the Event Horizon. After the incident, Miller, Weir, and Stark meet at the bridge where Weir tells Miller that he has brought most primary systems online for now. Smith goes out on the top of their ship and reports that they are going to need a lot of time to repair the 7-meter fracture on the outer hull. Miller tells him they don't have much time, and Smith gets to work. Miller turns his attention to the flesh and bones on the walls and asks Weir about it. Meanwhile, Peters and DJ are in the med bay following up on Justin, who has vital signs but remains unconscious. Cooper talks about the strange things he saw when the drive was activated, but Weir doesn't believe him and argues against it. Miller steps in and demands an explanation from Dr. Weir after what happened to Justin. After hearing the explanations about the drive creating a black hole for transportation from Weir, Miller orders the room of the drive to be completely sealed, stating that he doesn't want another member of his crew to end up like Justin. At the med bay, Peters, who was checking the logs, hallucinates and sees her young son with infected wounds all over his body and breaks down, but DJ arrives and wakes her up. Then, she shows Miller and Wary the video recordings of the final entry of logs, but some of it is blurry. Weir and Miller are forced to check out the engine drive when the ship suddenly powers down. Weir goes inside one of the ducts to check out the circuit, but he ends up having a hallucination. His dead wife was calling to him. Miller also had one and saw his former subordinate, abandoned to his death, burning in front of him. After the crew meets at the bridge, everyone tells each other about what they saw. Smith fights with Weir when he ridicules him after hearing him say the ship has something wrong with it. Miller orders Smith to calm down and orders him to go outside and repair the ship with Cooper. Back at the med bay, Justin goes missing, and Peters hears a knocking sound coming from the biohazard containment area. When the lights blow up behind her, she immediately runs to the bridge, where she meets DJ and Stark. The knocking sound followed her, and marks of sound could be seen on the door of the bridge. Weir tries to open the door, but Stark holds him down. Justin was about to kill himself by opening the airlock without a suit. Peters tries to talk him out of it, while Stark tries to override the door manually, but he is possessed by something. He pushes a button and gets out of the ship, but Miller, who was outside with Cooper following the repairs, arrives in time to catch him. DJ and the rest of the crew try to stabilize Justin, who is bleeding all over his body, and finally, they are able to place him in stasis in one of the pods. Miller confronts Weir, who was experiencing vivid imagination of the drive. Miller hears the sound of the subordinate ship and tells DJ about it. DJ also confides in him about making a mistake when translating the message of the distress signal. He thought it said "save me," but after listening to it repeatedly, DJ finds out it actually means "save yourself from hell." While DJ is discussing the possibility that the ship brought something evil with it, Miller gets a call from Cooper that he has finished fixing their vessel and they are ready to get out of there. Miller goes to see Cooper and the ship is almost fixed, but it needs another 20 minutes. Meanwhile, Peters manages to fix the logs and it shows the crew members of the Event Horizon fornicating and mutilating each other shortly after they started the drive. The video ends with the captain holding his own eyes gouged from their sockets and speaking the Latin phrase sent through the distress signal. Although Weiss doesn't want to leave before their mission is complete, Miller orders everyone to prepare to leave and plans to destroy the Event Horizon with missiles. Smith helps Peters collect the scrubbers and get out, but when they are about to walk out, she sees her son calling out to her. Peters follows the hallucinations and gets tricked into falling down an open shaft that leads to the drive. She dies instantly with all her bones broken. Weir sees Peters, but he gets caught by the hallucination of Claire, which leads him to gouge out his own eyes. Possessed by evil, he takes the explosive on the horizon and plants it on Clark and Luis.
Think.
Miller tries to warn Smith, who is already on the Clark, but it is too late. Their ship gets blown up, killing Smith and blasting Cooper into space. Surprisingly, Cooper survived and was able to travel back to the horizon using his suit. Miller warns DJ about Weir, who is already at the med bay. He kills DJ after throwing him around and cutting him open while he is alive. Miller finds DJ's body hanging from the ceiling with tiny hooks and his organs taken out from him. He quickly goes to the weapons room and arms himself with a gun. He goes to the bridge and finds Stark knocked unconscious. He wakes her up and tries to get her out of there, but his gun is missing. Miller gets up and sees Weir sitting on the captain's seat. Weir tells him that the Horizon tore a hole in the universe to another dimension and brought pure evil from the hellish dimension, attaining self-control on its way. Weir activates the drive to cross it to the evil dimension. Stark tries to stop him, but he knocks her out. Then Cooper arrives at the bridge window, and Weir shoots at him, but he misses and breaks the window instead. The ship begins to depressurize while turning everything upside down. Miller makes it out and saves Stark before the door of the bridge is closed, sealing the rest of the ship. Cooper gets into the Horizon through the airlock and joins them. Captain Miller plans to blow the corridor of the ship, separate the rest of the ship, and use the foredecks as a lifeboat. After arming the explosives, he gets forced into the drive after being attacked by the hallucination of the ship that turns out to be the resurrected and mutilated Weir. He fights off Weir and detonates the explosives, sacrificing himself in the process. The back of the ship gets sucked into the black hole, and the remaining part of the Horizon is found by a rescue ship after 72 days. Stark is the first to be woken up from stasis and sees Weir posing as one of the rescuers. She screamed loudly, but it was just a nightmare. Cooper and the rest of the rescue team try to calm down Stark as the door is seen closing behind them. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Watch our next videos on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you on the next one.